right, welcome. Thank you. Welcome to our next session entitled SAS-Driven Consumer Reporting Compliance Analysis Solution. Try saying that a few times fast. And we're extremely pleased to have our partner Protiviti here. And in a moment, I'm going to let Titus and Nikolai introduce themselves. Just some quick housekeeping before we get started. So we're going to have Q&A at the end. So if you just want to hold your questions until the end, I promise I'll come around to everyone and you'll have a chance to ask a question. And without any further ado, if you want to introduce yourselves, thank you, gentlemen.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this session of a SAS-driven consumer reporting solution. I hope all of you are having a great conference so far and are excited for the evening tonight to go to Universal Studios. So just to set the stage, this is what we will cover today. It's a quick table of contents. We'll start off with introductions. So me and Nikolai will introduce ourselves, as well as we'll introduce Protiviti. It's the company that we represent. This is going to be followed by explaining the problem statement of this SAS-driven solution, followed by going into the details of the actual solution. And then we will wrap up taking the next step together and see how you can engage us. At the end of this session, we'll have a dedicated Q&A. So my name is Titus Sarkar. I'm a director at Protiviti's Technology Consulting Solution in Enterprise Data and Analytics, based out of our Dallas, Texas office. I specialize from a vertical standpoint in financial services and healthcare. And I've done a lot of work helping our clients with their data needs in data analytics, data integration and warehousing, as well as business intelligence reporting. Huge fan of SAS, have been an extensive user of SAS in my career. So two projects stand out when I talk about my SAS experience. Of course, the first one is the solution that we're going to talk about today. And the second one is some predictive models that me and my team developed back in 2014 when the Affordable Care Act kicked off. And this was for a health insurance company. So as we all know, with the Affordable Care Act, there was a lot of new members coming in every health insurance company. So me and my team developed predictive models that would predict what kind of risk profiles these members are bringing in as they come in. And those models evolved over time as their claims started coming in. So these models were implemented across 14 states of this client across the United States. So with that, I'll pass it to Nikolai for his introduction.
Thank you, Titus. So my name is Nikolai Ugrinsky. I am a manager in the technology consulting solutions of Protiviti as well. I'm also specifically in enterprise data and analytics. And I have been with IT and IT management and project management all my life. Started out using software to develop simulators for computer-aided design softwares that would develop PCBs and electronical and telecommunication devices. I led a project at a large insurance company where I used EG a lot and built a operational scorecard for the entire commercial insurance system. And last but not least, I did development with Power BI for the C-suite executive dashboards of our asset management firm, one of the 7 largest companies here in the United States.
Thank you, Nikolai. Yeah. So next, what we'll do is show you guys a short video introducing Protiviti, the company that we represent. Nikolai, if you play it.
Uncertain, unpredictable, unsettling. At Protiviti, we see it differently. We believe you can face your future with confidence. Sure, technology advances, Business models evolve, regulations shift, economic conditions change, and we are more globally connected than ever. These can all be opportunities for you with the right perspective and expertise, because while the future changes everything around you, it can also be defined by you. Protiviti is a global internal audit, risk, business, and technology consulting firm that helps you confidently navigate in a fast-changing world. Starting by listening to you, we look deeper to help you discover opportunities and risks others miss. Crafting solutions delivered by tailored teams, we work side by side with you in unmatched collaboration. That's why 70% of the Fortune 100 have turned to us, because they don't want stock answers that worked yesterday. A deeper partnership, a new perspective. So when you're ready to see confidently how all those changes on the horizon can look a lot like opportunity, we're here to partner with you. Face the future with confidence. Protiviti.
Thank you. So Protiviti is a global consulting firm specializing helping our clients in areas of technology, business processes, internal audit, risk and compliance, analytics, and transactions. We have helped majority of the Fortune 100 and 500 corporations. Of the many accolades that we have, the one that stands out is that Protiviti has featured consistently over the last 10 years on Fortune's top 100 companies to work for. We have presence globally in more than 90 plus offices with over 11,000 professionals. The other thing about Protiviti is it's a subsidiary of Robert Half International, which is the nation's leading staffing firm. And what this does to us is it gives us access to a great pool of talent that we can deploy at our clients on a very short notice. And finally, along with being a SaaS partner, Protiviti has a journey in partnership with Microsoft for over 19 years, and we are uniquely positioned to help our clients with our Microsoft services. Currently, we are working through SAS Decision Builder on Microsoft Fabric and exploring what kind of opportunities it can bring to our clients. So at Protiviti, we are all about transforming the way organizations tackle the digital landscape. Our technology solutions are designed not just to meet client challenges, but to convert those challenges into unique opportunities for business growth. These are some of our technology consulting capabilities. So let's start off with tech strategy and operations. We believe that aligning tech with business goals is like finding the perfect dance partner. When they move in sync, magic happens. Transformation program execution ensures that your struggles are just not on paper, but get converted into strategies that come to life. And governance and risk management keeps everything safe and sound. Next up is software services. So think of us as your tech wizards. With Agile and DevOps, we conjure custom business applications that fit your need like a glove. Plus, with intelligent automation, we make sure that everything is streamlined and all that you do is focus on your business growth. We also have services and cloud solutions where we help with infrastructure modernization and rock-solid cloud strategies. So whether it's migrations or upgrades, we are here to help you in your cloud journey. And as we navigate through the digital landscape, cybersecurity and privacy is our shield. We have very solid security programs and incident response management strategies to help your organization stay protected. And both Nicola and I are part of enterprise data and analytics, and as they say, data is the new oil. We help you tap into it using our enterprise data and analytics solutions. Using data analytics for cloud computing, data warehousing, data governance, as well as business intelligence and reporting. Protiviti also has solutions for enterprise applications, as well as workforce management to enhance productivity. And finally, our digital solutions help you enhance your digital strategy. With that, I'll turn it over to Nikolai for explaining us the problem statement and the solution that we came up with using SAS. Nikolai.
Thanks, Titus. So before I dive into this subject that we tackled together with our client, I want to address a little bit the room. And I'm pretty sure that every one of you had borrowed money from a lender at some point in your life, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure you had to maybe take out a loan to finance your studies and go to college. You probably bought your first car, or went to the dealership and financed that eventually. And maybe later in life, you were going out there and got a mortgage for your first house, and talked to a bank about all the different terms and interest, et cetera. So one of the things when you do that, let's say you enter the car dealership and you say, yeah, that Toyota, I really want to get that. Or when you go online and you want to apply for a new credit card, you want to get that $200 cash back, right in your pocket and go shopping. What is the first thing that lenders look at when you do that? What does come to mind when you do that? Anybody? Credit score, right? They're looking at your credit score. And what is the second thing? And that's not so intuitive. What is the other thing that they really look at? And it's actually right on your credit report when you get one from the agencies. Anybody? Not that, but they look at your, go ahead, ma'am. Yeah, they look at your history of the last 2 years, how you paid back your debt. So they can look at also different, rolling credits you have outstanding, et cetera, all these things. But the 2 years are important because it will indicate whether you paid on time or whether you were delinquent or anything like that. And so what that does is it changes your terms and it changes your interest rate, right? So the better your credit score, it's common knowledge, you do better in getting the right interest rate and you get the right terms, right? And the lower the score is, it's less beneficial for you. So what happens when you get that car and you drive off the lot, right? And then, depending on what kind of deal you get, maybe a month later or 2 months later, you get your statements, or if you have auto pay, probably not, but you still look at the statements and there will be some kind of a min due, like for credit cards, for example, right? Your interest rates, what would happen if you only pay min due, and what would you pay for this product or for your outstanding debt? And you will make your payments. If you're like me, you pay everything off, you have great credit, you make sure everything is settled, you don't miss payments, and everything is peachy. That data, what I would call your loan behavior, if you wish, or your debt behavior, is then reported to 3 different credit agencies, right? Experian, Equifax, and TransUnion. And they take all this data, they put it in a big cauldron, this all proprietary algorithm, and they put that in that thing and they stir it and you take your data, and then out pops a number for you. 754, like whatever that means. But that's your rating, okay? That's your score. And then you have a little bit of a scale, whether that's bad, that's okay, that's good, that's excellent, right? You have that. And that's kind of like what happens when you do the score calculation, right? And there it is. That's a bit of an exaggerated number maybe, but anyways, the impact we talked about before is, your interest rate and your terms. But there are more things that are impacted in your life by this. You might not get an apartment that you want to rent because they look at that. You might not even get a job that you applied for because they looked at this, right? It could mean a lot of things. And if that is incorrect, then you could go to the dealership, get this new car, and you pay more interest. The way this is reported is based on a standard, the Credit Report Resource Guide issued by the CDIA. And this standard is fairly complex because there are a lot of things that go into it. I mean, the easiest thing to calculate is your days in delinquency after your bill is due. That's the easy thing. You come more complex things. You have a student loan, but you are still in school, right? So you're not in repayment status at this point. Another thing is you might have co-signers on there, right? You eventually have to file for bankruptcy, and so this information needs to go to your bank, and it also needs to go to this because they basically have to put you in deferment, so you're not reported as long as you are in a petition for bankruptcy. So that's very important as well. So here's the problem. This complex report is integrated in banking systems. There were requirements written, programs written. There's an algorithm that calculates all that and does that. But eventually there are scenarios where this doesn't really work, where either it's because it's systematically incorrect, so some of the requirements were not really completely capturing all the cases, or it happens because there are exceptions, like a disaster strikes. You won't be able to get a bill, you won't be able to pay a bill, you won't be able to call anybody, you don't even have electricity. Hopefully you still have a house, but ultimately you have situations where the reporting and everything is disrupted. Other things could be manual human errors. You send in a check and the check is applied to the wrong account. You have 3 loans with the bank, they put it to the wrong loan, and then that payment didn't really make it. So you have these different situations where credit reporting goes bad. And what that means is that as long as you just not looked at your credit report every day, which you probably don't, you could go into delinquency. You could be reported with the false status of your loan and your loan payment behavior to the bureaus, and that will change your score, and you don't even know it because you don't look at your score every day. But then you walk into the dealership and you realize, wait, why do I have to pay now 0.5% more than, when like, for example, my wife got a car, and we have both the same credit rating, it looks really good, so what's going on? And then you realize something went wrong, and you call your bank, and it says, yeah, we had a system outage, we're really unfortunate, but some of the auto payment program didn't really work, or you didn't put your check to the right account, apologies. But the bureau still had that report, and they actually rated you lower. The complaints over time about this phenomenon are incremental. They go up and up and up and up. One reason is, of course, that more people have the ability to just punch on a button like in their app, bank app, and say, show me my next FICO score, right? And you can look this up. So people use that, and they realize something has changed, or they have a monitoring deal with one of the agencies where they get reports and say something has changed on your report, and you're like, why did that change? So these go up. And does anybody remember? These show all the 3 bureaus, what they get. And it's not good to read, but you see this little red spike there in the middle? Anybody an idea what that could be? Do you remember Equifax when they had this leak? Yeah, that's that bump right there on the graph. Okay, and if they do this and people report this and people tell their banks, and they also tell regulators, hey, something's wrong with my credit score, then the regulators look at the banks and they say, and we'll get to the problem for the banks about all this, you're doing something wrong, you got to fix this problem, okay? And a lot of banks get fined because they are all of a sudden out of compliance. So we talked a lot about you as a customer. Let's talk about what do banks do about this, and what does it mean for them? So really important, they're no longer compliant with the regulators' laws and regulations. They get fined. They eventually have to make customers whole again, depending on what happened. And then they also have to go back to the bureaus and report updates on their numbers on what was reported for the past, ever since that happened to you. And that could go back in time quite a bit, depending on what it is. And you definitely want to have your 2 years, 24 months credit history updated. So there's a lot of work for the banks. And again, they have to pay penalties and eventually also have to pay you for this, right? The list of banks that actually got fined by the regulators is pretty long. You find all the big names on there. So very important thing. So let's talk about getting closer to the solution that we created with our client who had exactly these problems. The one thing that we found at the client was they already had an existing SaaS environment. So that was great. All secure issues were already solved. They had servers, they had directories for the individuals that work with SaaS. So they had that, and they had different legacy systems and data systems that SaaS could connect to automatically. Teradata, Snowflake. They didn't have Synapse, but usually ODBC connections in SaaS give you the ability to connect to anything that the banks have, right? SaaS is a very highly respected company and a platform for the regulatory space. We heard that today on stage. We heard it today on stage. We heard it often during the conference that SaaS is a secure environment. It has authentication, it has authorization tools. It is behind the firewall of companies. It operates in a way and in a modus that regulators and banks, clients feel secure about this. So that was good. Versus like open source languages that are very popular, but eventually open some doors, right? The other thing is that application development and SAS Enterprise Guide is very, very easy. You can use either direct SAS code, data steps if you wish, or you can write proc SQL stuff. Everything works there, and it is very nice organized. You can orchestrate it, and it just follows through its process. So the application development is actually not that complex. Maybe the problems that you deal with that is complex, but EG is very easy to work with. We talked about secure storage and authentication. Again, the client had everything behind the firewall. Every directory was assigned to individuals. And then all these individuals that we trained on this application were able to use this application. A lot of these people are not SaaS savvy, right? They have other things to do. They're specialists in different categories. They're not like really just doing these applications that run SaaS. They're just like eventually, DAs, BAs, what have you, and they don't know EG. But the interesting thing is SAS Enterprise Guide, you can import in Excel or your population data, you click a button, the process runs, the output is automatic. And I train people within hours to use this solution. And then another aspect, also based on the fact that you have different directories for different users, you can use the application at the same time on the organization. So if you have a team, because you have a lot of different problems, you can put that team to work, and they can all work simultaneously because all the input comes from the server and goes back to the server on their specific directories. There's no overwriting, no conflict there on this aspect. And this is a very high-level overview how this really works. So at the beginning, you take a population that is based upon an incident, maybe. You had a system outage, system was down 2 days, payments didn't get processed, eventually X amount of customers have been impacted by that. It was this product line of yours, and you have to address this, and you put them in the bucket, all the loans, and then you put them in there, and use this solution to get to an answer about their credit impact. Or what you can do sentiment analysis of call center transcripts, use that to identify a probability of customers being impacted because you see negative sentiments, you see words appearing like credit, score, things like that, and then you say, okay, why don't we use that and put that in here? And what happens then with the solution is it grabs all the billing data, it grabs loan statuses, bankruptcy, deferment, exception programs, payment program enrollments, anything that could be important for the loan data, and then it grabs the actual credit report produced to the bank. It was furnished to the, not to the bank, produced by the bank, but furnished to the credit agencies. On this data, the solution builds a simulation of what the credit bureau reporting should have been. Whether you should have been reported delinquent at the end of the month, and that goes also back in history, depending on what time frame you're looking at, whether you were on current, what the status was, all these different things, whether you were in bankruptcy, whether you're still in petition, whether that was resolved, dismissed, etc. And then it looks at the actual report and says, is there a discrepancy between what we think it should be and what actually was reported? And at that point, you make a decision whether everything looks good, so no action is needed, or if there is something that doesn't match and shows a discrepancy and it has a negative impact to the customer, then you need to start an investigation, right? Then you can get the team to work on why does this happen, what are the circumstances, and you go to the root cause of this issue. And that is, in a nutshell, the process. And I will turn it over now to Titus to talk about the value that we got out of this and the customers.
Yeah, thank you, Nikolai. So we went through the details of the SAS-based credit reporting solution. Now let's try to understand some of the value derived by implementing the solution in your organization. The first thing is, if designed and implemented effectively, this solution will easily help you identify the population of impacted consumers and streamline the process of addressing the needs for these consumers. You can also remediate the data that comes out of the analysis for these consumers, because the tool produces a list of discrepancies that it sees between the simulated output and what the credit agencies produce. And then with that list, you can do two things. You can either fix your internal systems, or you can reach out to the agencies with batch updates and fix your consumer data so that it is accurate and you stay aligned with the regulatory standards. The tool also helps you create a monitoring system across your organization. So you can either apply it in a portfolio of your business or across your entire organization. And by doing that, you are able to very quickly identify the discrepancies, fix them, and stay aligned with the regulatory standards. So let's see how we can take the next step together and how you can engage us. So we invite you to schedule a call with us to understand more about this tool. You could have specific questions or would like to explore the possibilities. We are here to help you navigate through that journey. Or if you are ready to see the magic in action, schedule a demo with us. This is where we'll firsthand demonstrate how our tool works and how it can improve your reporting processes. We can also do a deep dive into your reporting landscape and provide you a current state assessment of your reporting landscape and show you areas of inaccuracies where it can be changed and compliance where it is not being met currently. So this will be a tailor-made solution just with your data for your organization that will help you stay aligned with the regulatory standards. So with that, we come to the end of the presentation, but before I turn it over to Dan to conduct the Q&A, I would like to extend a big thank you to Dan, who's from SAS, a room captain, and the tech crew behind, Joe, Mike, and Jonathan. Thank you a lot.
Very good. Thank you so much, Titus. So if you have a question or a comment for our presenters, just raise your hand and I'll bring the mic around to you. And if not, I'm sure they will gladly answer questions over cocktails later, if you can find them over at Universal. Going once, going twice? No? Okay. Thank you for your attendance today. And just another quick round of applause for Titus and Nikolai. Thank you.
Thank you.